Hello everybody, you are welcome to this video. This will be a summary, a comprehensive and simple summary and analysis of Antony and Cleopatra by William Shakespeare. This play is actually a story of love, power and choices. So I have designed this in a way that everybody will understand, including young readers. Alright, so let's dive right into the summary of this video. Let's talk about the introduction. I want us to start from the introduction of the play. A long time ago, a great writer named William Shakespeare wrote a story about two very important people, a brave soldier named Antony and a beautiful, smart queen named Cleopatra. Their story is one of the most famous love stories ever told. It has battles, big feelings, and very hard choices. Shakespeare wrote this story around 1606. Please note that the real Antony and Cleopatra were real people who lived many hundreds of years before that. Shakespeare read about them in the old books and turned their true story into a play with lots of drama and big feelings. Even though some of the words in the play can be hard to understand, the story itself is not hard at all. It is about two people who love each other very much, but who also have to deal with power, war, and please, I want you to know this: power, war, and the world around them. In the end, it is a story about what happens when love and beauty fight against each other. Now, let us talk about the settings. The story takes place in two main places. The first place is Egypt. Please note all these strategic places: a warm and sunny land near the sea. Egypt is where Cleopatra lives and rules as what? As queen. It is a rich and magical place full of color and celebration. The second place is Rome, a powerful city far away from Egypt. Rome is where Antony and the other leaders of the world make big decisions. It is a strict and serious place where people care a lot about rules, order, and being strong. Please, I want you to know all these things. The story moves back and forth between these two places. Egypt feels free and full of love. Rome feels cold and full of duty. Please note the two. One is full of what? Love. Alright. And the other is filled with what? Duty. The difference between the two places is very important to the whole story. The time of the story is very long ago. Before cars or phone or electricity, people rode on horses and sailed on ships. Leaders had armies and fought wars to keep or grow their power. Let us talk about the summary of the play. Antony is one of the three very powerful men who ruled the whole Roman world together. The three men are Antony, Octavius Caesar, and Lepidus. Please note them. They share power and try to keep things in order, but Antony has fallen deeply in love with who? With Cleopatra. Alright, Cleopatra is queen of Egypt, and he spends most of his time with her in Egypt instead of doing his duties in Rome. His Roman friends and fellow leaders are not happy about this. They think Antony is wasting his time and that he has lost his strength. Antony is pulled into two directions. His heart says stay with Cleopatra. His duty says go back to Rome. He goes back to Rome for a while, even getting married to another woman named Octavia to try and make peace with Caesar. But his heart always leading back to Cleopatra. Please, are you following? Soon, big wars break out. Antony and Caesar fight against each other for control of the world. Things go very wrong for Antony. He is tricked into thinking Cleopatra has died, and in his deep sadness, he tries to take his own life. He is brought to Cleopatra before he dies in his arms. Cleopatra does not want to be taken to Rome as a prisoner by Caesar, so she also chooses to end her own life, dying beside the memory of the man she loved. It's a very sad ending, but it shows how strong and brave she was. Now, for you to actually understand how the story unfolds, I want us to go scene by scene, act by act, then scene by scene. So let us talk about Act 1, Scene 1. Now we are in Egypt. Two Roman soldiers named Phileo, please note their name, and Demetrius are talking. They are unhappy because Antony, who used to be a great fighter, is now spending all his time with Cleopatra and has forgotten about Rome. Antony and Cleopatra walk in together, laughing and being affectionate. A messenger comes with news from Rome, but Antony waves it away. He only cares about being with Cleopatra right now. Philo and Demetrius shake their heads and worry. Act 1, Scene 2. Some of Cleopatra's servants are having their fortunes told. It is light and fun, but then a messenger arrives with serious news from Rome. Antony's wife, Fulvia, please note this name again. That is Antony's wife, the person he married, has been fighting wars and has now died. Also, a man named Pompey, please note this again, note all these character names, is causing trouble for Rome. Antony feels ashamed. He knows that he has been ignoring his duties. He decides he must go back to Rome. He tells his friend Enobarbus, note all these names please, about this, and Enobarbus joke about how sad Cleopatra would be. Act 1, Scene 3. Cleopatra finds out that Antony wants to leave. She is very upset. She argues with him, questions if he really loves her, and tries everything to make him stay. Antony tries to explain that duty calls him away and that his love for her has not changed. They argue back and forth, but in the end, Antony says goodbye and leaves for Rome. Cleopatra is very sad and worried. Act 1, Scene 4. We are now in Rome. Caesar and Lepidus are talking about Antony. Caesar is annoyed. He says Antony is lazy and spends his day eating, drinking, and playing games in Egypt instead of being a proper leader. Caesar also tells Lepidus and Pompey he is growing stronger and is a real danger to their power. They wish Antony would come and help them. Act 1, Scene 5. Back in Egypt, Cleopatra is missing Antony very much. She asks her servant chairman what Antony might be doing right now. She is restless and sad. She sends a messenger to follow Antony and report back to her every day about what he is doing and how he is feeling. She cannot stop thinking about it. Now, Act 2, Scene 1. Pompey is meeting with his advisors, Menas and Menecrates. Please note these names again. Alright, they talk about how the three Roman leaders, Antony, Caesar, and Lepidus, are divided and not working well together. Pompey thinks this gives him a good chance to beat them, but then he gets news that Antony is coming back to Rome. This worries Pompey because Antony is a very skilled and brave soldier. Please note this remark about him. Alright, so Act 2, Scene 2. Antony and Caesar meet in Rome. There is a lot of tension between them. Their helpers try to smooth things over. To make peace, it is decided that Antony will marry Caesar's sister, a kind and gentle woman named Octavia. Antony agrees. Everyone hopes this marriage will keep the peace between the two powerful men. But Enobarbus, Antony's loyal friend, tells others quietly that Antony will never truly forget Cleopatra. He says Cleopatra is too wonderful and that Antony's heart belongs to her. Act 2, Scene 3. Antony said Octavia speak kindly to each other. Antony seems to want to do the right thing, but when he visits a fortune teller who wants him to stay away from Caesar because Caesar's luck is always better than Antony's when they are near each other, the fortune teller advises Antony to go back to Egypt. Antony starts to feel pulled again. Deep inside, he knows his heart is still in Egypt with who? Cleopatra. Act 2, Scene 4. This is a very short scene. Lepidus, Mercenas, and Agrippa, please note these names again, are making plans to travel and meet up. They are getting ready for the upcoming meeting with Pompey. It is a small in-between scene that moves the story along. Now, Scene 5. Cleopatra is in Egypt trying to keep herself busy while Antony is away. She plays games and talks with her servant. Then a messenger arrives from Rome. She is very excited at first, hoping for good news about Antony, but the messenger brings terrible news. He tells her that Antony has married Octavia. Cleopatra is furious. She shouts at the messenger, hits him, and nearly attacks him. She is heartbroken and very angry. Eventually, she calms down a little and asks what Octavia looks like, trying to understand her rival. Act 2, Scene 6. Pompey meets with the three Roman leaders, Antony, Caesar, and Lepidus, to talk about peace. They decided to make an agreement. Please note this. Alright, Pompey will have peace and some land in return for stopping his attacks. Enobabus and Pompey's men Menas talks privately. Menas hits that Pompey could have captured all the three leaders right there if he wanted to. Pompey says he wishes Menas had just done it without asking him first, because now that he knows, he cannot allow it. It shows Pompey cares about honor even when it cost him power. Act 2, Scene 7. Everyone is on Pompey's ship having a big feast. They eat, drink, and celebrate. Alright, Lepidus drinks too much and gets very silly. Menas whispers to Pompey again, suggesting that they cut the ropes and kill the leaders while they are all drunk. Again, Pompey refuses. He says it is too late and he cannot do something so dishonest. Caesar does not really enjoy the party. He is not comfortable with all the drinking and celebration. Eventually, everyone goes home. The party is over and so is the peace agreement, though no one says it yet. Act 3, Scene 1. One of Antony's soldiers, Ventidos, please note this name, has won a great battle against the Parthians. Note them, he is a good general. His helper Silos, please note all these names, tells him he should go further and win more glory. But Ventidos is wise. He says that winning too much glory as a helper can make your leader jealous. He knows it is better to report back to Antony and let Antony take some of the credit. This little scene shows us how power and pride work in the Roman world. Act 3, Scene 2. Antony and Octavia are about to leave Rome. Caesar says goodbye to his sister and it is clear he loves her very much. He is worried about her. Caesar gives Antony a warning look. Agrippa and Enobabus watch and comment quietly. Antony and Octavia live together, but we can feel that this marriage is already fragile. Act 3, Scene 3. Back in Egypt, Cleopatra is still foaming about Octavia. She calls back the messenger who brought the bad news earlier. She asks him to describe Octavia in detail. The messenger, now very afraid of her after she hit him before, is careful and says kind things. He says Octavia is short, has a rounded face, and is not very tall. Please note this. Cleopatra is delighted by this and gives the messenger a gift. She feels knowing she is more beautiful and grand than Octavia. Act 3, Scene 4. Antony and Octavia are in Athens. Please note this place. Alright, Athens. Alright, Antony is growing angry against Caesar, who has been studying bad things about him publicly and has broken their agreement. Octavia is upset to see her husband and her brother fighting. She wants to go to Rome to try to make peace between them. Antony allows her to go, and it seems like part of him is relieved that she will be away so he can make his own plans. Act 3, Scene 5. Enobabus and Eros, please note this name, another servant, talk together. They share news. Caesar and Lepidus fought together against Pompey, and Pompey has been killed. After the battle, Caesar turned on Lepidus too and had him locked up. Now Caesar has all the power in Rome for himself. This is very dangerous news for Antony. His rival is now stronger than ever. Act 3, Scene 6. Caesar is furious. He has said that Antony has gone back to Egypt and is sitting on a golden throne next to Cleopatra, giving away Roman lands to her and her children. Octavia arrives in Rome alone with only a small group of servants. Caesar feels sorry for his sister and angry at Antony for treating her so badly. Caesar tells Octavia that Antony has already gone back to Cleopatra. Octavia is deeply hurt. Act 3, Scene 7. Antony is preparing for war against Caesar. Cleopatra wants to fight too, and she will bring her ships. Another boss warns Antony that having Cleopatra there will distract him and the soldiers, but Antony refuses to send her away. The soldier also advises Antony to fight on land where he is strongest, but Antony chooses to fight at sea because Caesar is fighting at sea. This is a very big mistake. Please know this. Act 3, Scene 8. Caesar gives order to his soldiers about the battle. He tells them not to fight on land until after the sea battle is done. Everyone is getting into position. Act 3, Scene 9. Antony also places his soldiers on land as backup while waiting to see how the sea battle goes. Both sides are ready. The tension is building. Act 3, Scene 10. The sea battle goes very badly for Antony. Right in the middle of the fight, Cleopatra's ship suddenly turns around and sails away. Antony cannot believe it. He follows her ship, leaving his own men behind to fight without him. His soldiers are shocked and feel abandoned. This is the turning point in the whole story. Antony has let his love for Cleopatra make him do something that a good general should never do. Act 3, Scene 11. Antony finds Cleopatra and is lost in shame and grief. He sits alone, refusing to look at anyone. His soldiers and friends do not know what to say. When Cleopatra approaches him, he is angry and hurt, asking why she ran. But then he forgives her, and they hold each other. He is powerless in his love for her. Even after this terrible failure, he cannot bring himself to walk away. Act 3, Scene 12. Caesar is winning. He sends a messenger to Cleopatra telling her that she can keep her kingdom if she sends Antony away. He is trying to separate them. Antony sends his own man, Euphonius, to Caesar to ask for peace. Alright, but Caesar refuses. Caesar sends a young man named Phidias to Cleopatra with a secret message trying to get her to abandon Antony. Act 3, Scene 13. Antony finds Phidias kissing Cleopatra's hand as a sign of respect. Antony is furious and has Phidias whipped. He shouts at Cleopatra and accuses her of being disloyal. Cleopatra calms him down and speaks lovingly to him. Antony decides to fight Caesar one more time. He is fired up again and full of energy. He wants to have one more great battle. Another boss watches all of this and quietly decides that Antony has lost his mind. He makes the painful decision to leave Antony and go to Caesar's side. Act 4, Scene 1. Caesar reads a letter in which Antony challenges him to fight one-on-one. Caesar laughs it off. He knows Antony is weakening and does not take the challenge seriously. Caesar is calm and confident. He tells his generals to get ready because the final battle is coming soon. Act 4, Scene 2. Antony is having dinner with his servant before the battle. He talks to them with great warmth, almost as if he knows it might be their last time together. He thanks them and holds their hand. His soldiers are moved and some of them cry. Cleopatra finds it a sad and strange moment. Antony says he hopes they will all celebrate together after the victory, but there is a feeling that he is saying goodbye. Act 4, Scene 3. Late at night, some of Antony's guards are talking quietly. They hear mysterious music under the earth and in the air. The soldiers think it is a bad sign. It feels as if the god Hercules, please note the name of the god, Hercules, who was said to protect Antony, is living in. He is a ghostly and mysterious little scene that signals something very dark is coming. Act 4, Scene 4. Morning comes. Antony is getting ready to put on his armor for battle. Cleopatra tries to help him with the armor and get it a little wrong. Antony teases her gently and they share a loving moment. He is brave and cheerful. He kisses her goodbye and marches off to fight. Cleopatra watches him go and says he looks like the morning star, brave and bright. Act 4, Scene 5. Antony finds out that his trusted friend, another boss, has left him and gone over to Caesar's side. Instead of being angry, Antony is heartbroken. He sends all of Enobabos' belongings and treasure to him in Caesar's camp. It does not cause Enobabos, it just feels deep sadness. Act 4, Scene 6. In Caesar's camp, Caesar orders that former soldiers of Antony should fight on the front lines. He wants to use them up first. Enobabos hears this and feels deeply ashamed of himself for leaving Antony, when he also hears that Antony sent him all his belongings with no bad words. Enobabos is overcome with guilt and grief. He goes away alone and his heart breaks. Act 4, Scene 7. The battle on land goes well for Antony. He and his soldiers fight bravely and push Caesar's men back. Antony is excited. He runs back to Cleopatra to share the good news of the victory so far. He is full of energy and hope. For a moment it feels like things might turn around for him. Act 4, Scene 8. Antony returns to Alexandria celebrating. Please note this again. Alright, he praises the soldiers and thanks them all. He asks Cleopatra and tells her how well everything has gone. They prepare to celebrate and keep fighting. It is one of the last happy moments in the story. Everyone feels hopeful for a little while. Act 4, Scene 9. That same night, a soldier finds Enobabos alone in the dark. Enobabos is crying and talking to the moon about his shame and regret. He calls himself a traitor and says his name will always mean betrayer. Please, do you know this? Enobabos' name will always mean what? Betrayer. Please, I want you to always know these things. These are some of the things that will give you a point. Alright, then he falls down and dies, not from a wound, but from a broken heart. He is so ashamed of leaving Antony that his body simply gives up. Act 4, Scene 10. The next day, Antony and his men get ready for both a sea battle and a land battle at the same time. Antony waits to see which way Caesar will fight first. Act 4, Scene 11. Caesar chooses to fight mostly at sea. Both armies are positioning themselves. The land forces wait quietly while the sea battle begins. Act 4, Scene 12. Once again, Cleopatra's ship give up and surrender to Caesar without really fighting. Antony is destroyed. He feels completely betrayed by Cleopatra. He shouts that she has sold him out to the enemy and that the love meant nothing. He chases Cleopatra off in fear. He says he will kill her, and he means it in that moment of rage. Act 4, Scene 13. Cleopatra is terrified of Antony's anger. Her servant chairman suggests a plan to calm him down. Cleopatra should hide in a big tomb and send a message to Antony telling him she has died. Chairman thinks hearing this will make Antony's anger turn to grief, and grief is easier to handle than rage. Cleopatra agrees to the plan. She does not realize how dangerous this idea really is. Act 4, Scene 14. Antony is in deep despair. He talks to Eros, his servant, about how everything seems to be melting away, like clouds in the sky that loses their shape. Then the messenger arrives with the news that Cleopatra is dead. Antony is completely undone. All his anger disappears and only grief and love remain. He asks Eros to kill him. Eros cannot bring himself to do it and kills himself instead. Antony is so moved by this act of loyalty that he falls on his own sword, but he does not die right away. He lies there wounded and in pain. His guards refuse to finish the job for him. Then another messenger comes with new news. Cleopatra is actually alive. She sent the message to stop this anger, not knowing what he would do. Antony is taken to her tomb. Act 4, Scene 15. Antony is carried to Cleopatra's monument, the big tomb where she is hiding because she is afraid to come down and open the doors. She and a woman put Antony up to her from above. It is a painful and sad moment. Antony is dying. He tells her not to grieve too much and to remember the good times they had. He tells her to trust a man named Proclus. Please note that in Caesar's camp. Then, in Cleopatra's arms, Antony dies. Cleopatra cries out in grief and says that without him, there is nothing left in the world. Please note that. Act 5, Scene 1. Caesar receives news that Antony is dead. He is not happy or celebrating. He actually seems sad because Antony was once a great man and someone he respected in many ways. He sends a man named Proclius to speak to Cleopatra and tell her she will be treated well. But the truth is, Caesar wants to take her to Rome and parade her through the street as his prisoner to show the world that he has won. Act 5, Scene 2. This is the final and longest scene. Cleopatra is in her tomb with her servant. She thinks about dying as a way of escaping shame. Proclius arrives and tries to win her trust, telling her Caesar is kind. But then Caesar's soldiers suddenly rush in and grab her before she can hurt herself. Caesar comes to see her in person and speaks kindly to her. He promises she will be treated with respect, but Cleopatra does not believe him. One of the servants, Seleucus, is forced to tell Caesar that Cleopatra hid some of her treasure and did not declare it all. This upsets Cleopatra very much. After Caesar leaves, a countryman arrives at the tomb carrying a basket of figs. Hidden inside the basket are deadly snakes called asps. Cleopatra has arranged all of this. She dressed herself in her finest clothes and crown. She speaks lovingly to the snakes as she puts them to her body, and they beat her. Her servant German and Iras also die, either from grief or from a snake bite too. Cleopatra dies as a queen on her own terms, not as a prisoner. Caesar arrives to find all three women dead. He is struck by Cleopatra's bravery and gives order that she and Antony be buried together side by side with all the honor they deserve. Now, let us talk about the interpretation and the analysis. Alright, now let's start from the characterization, which is Antony, who will lead this list. Antony is a man who is torn in two. On one side is a great Roman soldier who is brave, strong, and respected. Please, I want you to note these three features: brave, strong, and respected. On the other side, he is deeply in love and lets his feelings take over when it matters most. He is not a bad person. He is kind to his servant, loyal to his friends, and full of big feelings. But he makes poor choices when his heart is involved. His biggest problem is that he cannot choose between love and duty, and that in-between place is where he gets lost. Let's talk about Cleopatra. Cleopatra is one of the most powerful women in all of Shakespeare's play. She is not just beautiful, she is smart, quick, dramatic, and very strong. She knows exactly how to hold people's attention. She can be funny and she can be very terrifying. She is not perfect because she can be very selfish, and a trick of pretending to be dead ends up hurting Antony deeply, but she is also completely devoted to him. She chooses death rather than shame, and she dies like a queen. Let's talk about Caesar. Caesar is clever and cold. He does not let his feelings get in the way of his plans. He is always thinking ahead. He is not cruel for fun, but he is always watching for the best moves to make to gain more power. He respects Antony in his own way, but he will not let that respect stop him from winning. Let's talk about Hannibus. Hannibus is Antony's best friend and most honest follower. He is funny, smart, and always tells the truth even when others do not want to hear it. He can see that Antony is making mistakes. When he finally leaves Antony for Caesar, it is the practical thing to do, but it breaks his own heart. He dies from guilt and regret. He is one of the most real and moving characters in the whole play. Now, let us move to the themes of this play by William Shakespeare. Number one on the list is love against duty. The biggest idea in this story is the fight between love and duty. Antony loves Cleopatra, but he also has a big job to do for Rome. These two things pulled him in opposite directions for the whole play. In the end, love wins, but it cost him everything. Please note that Shakespeare seems to be asking us, is it worth it to give up everything for love, power, and politics? The play is also about the way powerful people fight to be in charge. Caesar, Antony, and Pompey all want to rule the world. They make deals and break them. They use marriage as a political tool. They fight wars to gain control. Power is everywhere in this story, and it shapes every decision the characters make. East against West. Egypt and Rome stand for two very different ways of living. Rome is strict, disciplined, and about work and duty. Egypt is warm, free, and about pleasure and love. Antony is caught between these two worlds. Shakespeare uses these two places to explore ideas about freedom, responsibility, and what makes a life worth living. Loyalty and betrayal. Many characters in the play have to choose between staying loyal or walking away. Enobarbus leaves Antony and regrets it deeply. Cleopatra's ship retreats at the worst moment. Even Octavia is placed in a terrible position. The play asks us to think about what loyalty really means and what it costs. And lastly, we talk about how we see ourselves. Antony and Cleopatra both care deeply about how the world sees them. Cleopatra chooses to die rather than to be shown off in Rome as a trophy. Antony is destroyed not just by defeat but by the shame of being seen as weak. The play shows us how much people can be driven by the image they want to show the world. And in conclusion, Antony and Cleopatra is a story that has lasted for hundreds of years because it is about things every person understands, even a young child. It's about love, about wanting two things at once, about making mistakes, and about being brave even when everything is going wrong. Antony is not a bad man, he's just a man who loves too much. Cleopatra is not a bad woman, she is just someone who refuses to give up who she is. Together, they are both wonderful and flawed, just like real people. Shakespeare wanted us to feel for both of them. He wanted us to understand how hard it is to be human, to have big feelings, and to live in a world that does not always let you do what your heart wants. In the end, the two lovers are buried together as Caesar orders. Even their enemy respect the power of the story. This is perhaps the most beautiful and sad part of all. In that, they are finally together in peace, free from the wars and worries that kept pulling them apart. This story reminds us that love is powerful, that choices matters, and that being true to who you are takes enormous courage. If you have been able to follow me up to this point on the summary and analysis of Antony and Cleopatra by William Shakespeare, then I can say definitely that you are ready to face any question on this particular play, because I have actually summarized it in the way that makes it simplified enough for you to understand. And I wish you success in your exams. Bye for now.